providing all the information about the therapy dog. It was really interesting to hear her perspective.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have
Good
any
job.
questions for our students?
Brian?
Yes, Larry.
Brian?
Yes, Larry.
Oh, hi, yes, thank you. Actually, a question for the students. If they could kind of maybe just comment in terms of given the boys and the girls, and mostly the girls as well, I mean, both of them in terms of what's there. What's the attitude or what's the kind of feeling around the school? I mean, how are the students and staff and teachers feeling about the activities going on at that level?
I guess I would say there's school morale is pretty high right now. Everyone's very excited to see all the success that our sports teams are having, especially on that Friday. Everyone was just so eager and excited. I had a chance to be at the girls basketball game on Friday, and again, seeing us all be so excited and just celebrating on the day, it was great to see, personally from my perspective.
Yeah, I'd have to agree as well. I think like Khadija said, the morale is much higher. Everybody's really excited and everybody's engaged in either looking at the results or going to the game. I was also part of the student section, and it was great. Not only for the girls game, but also for the boys game on Saturday. So I think just the impact that our achievements have had, and especially in basketball, have been great on students.
Yeah, people are really looking forward to kind of attend the games too. It's just something that people can really look forward to at the end of the week. So there's that as well.
That's great.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry. Anyone else? Thank you. Great report. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Next item on the agenda is comments from citizens. Julie, do you have any cards?
I do not.
Okay. That will take us down to the consent agenda. We got meeting minutes from February, policy as well. There's some correspondence. I don't think we had any gifts this time. So if there's not any questions or corrections, I'll look for a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Hang on. You guys met earlier tonight?
Yes, Business Affairs Committee.
Business Affairs? So
Yeah.
I'm going to turn it over to Steve.
Thank you very much, Brian. We met and we had Eric sit in as a guest for our committee meeting today. Thank you, Eric, for attending. Appreciate your interest. We started with a hiring report. So this time of year, with retirements announced by current staff members, there's always an interest in what positions will be available in the school district. So we had 6 retirements that we know of so far, and looks like that's going to be the number. A number of those positions were posted. One of them is going to be absorbed inside the department due to some student demand changes in terms of coursework. And then there's some internal and removes and some other leaves that are happening, one other leave that is noted at the district level. So Colin's busy working to fill all of that, but it looks to be a very manageable amount. And as John Gahan shared with us, there were no special cause cases this year where we're trying to get a specific teacher with very difficult to obtain skills. So felt good about our ability to source all those open needs. We moved into our check register review. Lots of good questions about some of the charges that were in this month's report. All of them checked out. John provided good detail about the nature of those specific items. And John even asked for some feedback, so to help our team be more clear sometimes in some of the descriptions, so that we would have more clarity up front on those charges when they are on the report. So that was great. Financial reports about where we should be. 51% of the revenue has been received was budgeted. 57% of expenses, and our last big property tax receipt will come in August. So after the end of the fiscal year for the district, but no surprises there. We talked about the budget amendment that you'll hear about in just a little bit here. We spent a few minutes talking about that in terms of some of the adjustments and some of the things that are being pulled into this year's budget. This is the year where we want to spend a lot because of the defeasance strategy for state aid. So this is a high spend year. So trying to maximize the spend in the current year to minimize it in the next year to optimize our state aid. you'll hear about a couple of those things, and I'll just wait for John to present those under the new business section. And then the last thing we spoke about was budget parameters. So as John's working with all of the district leaders, all of the school leaders, all of the different department leaders, to think about what next year's budget and spend is going to be for each of them and what their needs are. We talked about some of the key drivers. Obviously, driver number one of the budget is all based on student population. So John is using a current plan for about 1 to 1.5% growth in year over year population for the district. We are going to have a declining enrollment hit in our state aid next year because of what's happened in the last couple of years with our declining enrollment in the district. So that will drive down, put some pressure on our revenues for next year. So John's working hard with those building leaders and department leaders to really manage the budget very carefully for next year, because we're not going to have a lot of room with no growth in the revenue limit and a declining enrollment hit based on the 3-year rolling average that they use for defining state aid. So a lot of focus on driving efficiencies out of wherever we can in the district, and then trying to just optimize everything we can to make sure that we can stay within our budget for next year. And I think that's all I would like to share with all of you today.
Anybody have any questions for that committee? I'll look for a motion then to accept the report.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, Steve.
Yep.
Takes us down to new business, early college credit. John, I'll turn it over to you.
So in your packet, you have a summary of the recommendation for approvals for the early college credit programs. This is really 4 programs that are applied for by the students. 2 of these, the dual enrollment and the accelerate, are at WCTC. I think you heard a couple of our Eagle Scouts talk about their participation in those programs. Also, the early college credit program, which is tied to the 4-year colleges and universities, and the Start College Now program, which is tied to technical college or 2-year colleges in the system. So within the package, you have a recommendation. I also remind, in the past, typically, the board would have the opportunity, if some of these courses, replicated courses that were already offered within the high school, they could be denied. Because of the structure of the Accelerate program, which is a 2-year program at WCTC, that was modified in policy this past year to allow students to participate in that, where a course may replicate what is in the high school, but be offered through WCTC because of the structure of that program and the sequencing. The estimated cost, again, the applications are what you're approving at this point in time. Not every course that's applied for will be approved. There's maximum numbers based on the individual students that they can go and take. Those will all be worked out based on scheduling from the technical college side. Do they have space in their program to take the students that are applying for it? So that will be determined, but based on the applications, we are within what we had estimated as a budget for the first semester of next year.
So there's a chance that these students might not get into that program?
They may not get all of the courses that they requested, yes. Or they may not be able to get into the program itself.
Does WCTC prioritize non-high school aged students, or is there any bias about that, or you don't know? Okay.
And there's only one request that you're recommending denial is for marketing principles, which we already have covered in our high school. Okay. Other questions for John? Larry, you good?
Yeah.
Thought he went to the bathroom. Otherwise, then, we have the recommendation there. Does somebody like to make a motion?
I can do it.
Thank you.
I recommend approval of the 5 early college credit applications, 3 Start College Now applications, 1 Start College Now application with the denial of the marketing principles course, since that course matches an offering at Pewaukee High School. And I recommend approval of 9 applications of students applying to more than 1 program be approved for 1 program of student choice based on WCTC acceptance as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Steve. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
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 Okay. All opposed? All right. Motion passed 7-0. So thank you for that, John. I think you're up next again.
So tonight we also asked to act upon a budget adoption for this current fiscal year. The board goes through the official process of adopting the original budget in October of the year. When we modify that budget, the board also then has to take action, and then that action is subsequently followed up with publication of that in the paper. So within 10 days of this action, it would be published in our official paper. The amendment that you're asked tonight has a primary purpose to fund two purchases. And both of them are due to supply chain and timing issues of how we're trying to get in front of the curve to get some work done to ensure that we can get it done in the summer. By the summer. We have really 12 weeks of the summer for work to be done. From that, you subtract the time that students are here in summer school if we have to do some closures on buildings. So the first project involves roof coating that's on this building here. And John Stangler talked about that in detail back in December when we talked about the long-term capital projects plan, so I won't get into the detail on that. We've bid that project out and have some guarantees in place that will allow us to be able to get it done in a timely manner. This amendment will fully fund that project out of the general fund, the operating budget of the district. The second one we've talked about also is the acquisition of our replacement cycle for our student technology and some of the staff technology. If you recall, last year we did the same thing in February, where the chip shortage that we were looking at was going to put quite a strain on our ability to get the technology that we needed before the start of school year. So we got out early in front of the curve on that, and we were able to get it, place it in operation during the current fiscal year, and make the replacement. So we'd like to do that same thing this year. The combination that we're looking at for this amendment increases the general fund budget by about $74,000. There's three primary sources of that increased revenue. We have open enrollment tuition that's coming in higher than we anticipated back in October. We have the supplemental aid that was part of the governor's veto message. Initially, that was projected at about $124 per pupil. It came in at about $134 per pupil. So it generates some additional revenue. And then also our library aid came in higher than anticipated for the year. So those are the three primary driving sources. There's several other smaller ones for the increase in revenue. We have a corresponding increase in expenditures of $74,000, and then the balance of those funding for those projects is from a reallocation where we had contingencies built in that we didn't realize we won't need them for the balance of the year. We're through 3/4 of the year now. So in total, it reconciles out to a $74,000 change in the operating budget. And you'll see from the amendment that's attached, it touches a couple of other funds. Initially in October, we had anticipated using some of those governor's funds to build up reserves in a capital improvement trust fund and to look at our OPEB reserve. We're pulling those into the operating budget this year rather than reserving them for future. Are there any questions?
So basically you get 0.2% change, right? So, any questions for John?
I'll move to approve the budget amendment dated March 14th, 2022 for the fiscal year ending on June 30th, 2022.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Great work there. Where am I? Here we go. Policy, you guys met earlier today? Jeannie? Or last time?
Last time.
Last time,
Last
okay.
time, yes.
All right, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Policy number 3100.02, income and external funds. John made no changes to this policy, it remained the same. And I received no questions on it. Okay. Policy number 3100.03, income tuition fees. Again, John made no changes on this and I received no questions. Policy number 3100.04. Again, John made no changes on here, and I received no questions. And then we had policy number 5200.02. Danielle looked over this one, and she had no policy changes either. Policy number 5500.01, student health services and requirements. Colin and the nurses looked this over, and they had no changes on this one either. And then we had policy number 5300.09, student hazing. We did make a couple of changes on this one, and Steve had gotten to me earlier this week, and he was concerned about the second paragraph where it talks about hazing also includes any action taken or situation created intentionally, whether on or off campus, that produces mental or physical discomfort. He thought that was a kind of subjective, so I was going to ask the board if they thought about changing the word "that" to so it would say whether on or off campus to produce, because that way you show intent, that that's what the hazing would be about.
Yeah, that was my concern, is that the way it was written, it felt like the intent of the initiator of the activity, it was irrelevant what their intent was. If their intent was to not have done that, but that the person who was involved in the situation felt like it produced some mental or physical discomfort.
Perceived it that way.
If they perceived it that way. And I just didn't want to get into an argument of he said, she said, or he said, or she said, whatever. I don't want to use those pronouns if people don't like those, but I don't want to get into an argument between two people to say, well, your intent was this, no, my intent was that. And allow anyone to misuse what we're trying to accomplish here. I don't want it to be create more conflict than it resolves. So I'd prefer if we made it a little more clear about the intent, being clear that it was intended to produce a situation of mental or physical discomfort, embarrassment, harassment, or ridicule.
And do you think, you agree with Jean's
Yeah, I
suggested
think
change?
the word
Okay.
change is excellent. So I would approve it. I would support it. I would support it if we changed the words as Jeannie had outlined.
Stacy,
I agree.
you guys see anything wrong?
And if you go down to like the second part where this board member has it and read the hazing, that really is the terminology right out of the Wisconsin section 948.5. It's their definition word for word as to what hazing is.
Okay. Well, that puts us in good company there. Ann, you good with
I'm
that
good with
change?
it. No, I'm good with it.
Eric?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Larry, can you hear what's going on?
Yes,
Okay,
I agree.
okay, all right. All right. Well, then, all of these, there's no other ones left, right?
No, that's the
Okay.
last one.
Well, if you wake up and think of something, you can always contact Jeannie, otherwise we'll put this on the consent agenda for next time. Thank you, Jeannie.
You're welcome.
All right, that takes us down to personnel issues, resignations. We have none this time, unless that's changed since this board pack came out. All right, there's one employment to hire, Emily Wright, I believe. Any background you care to give, John?
This is an opportunity within the district based on an opening for an interventionist position.
Okay. Somebody like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the hiring of Emily Wright for the grade 3 through 8 reading interventionist position.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, 7-0. Then we have no leave of absence requests, so. Upcoming activities, we have a few. We've got, March 29th, we've got the biomed presentations. Who's all gonna be for that?
I think it's just Stacy and I.
I'm going to
Oh,
be there
okay,
too.
fantastic.
Yeah, I was
Thanks,
able
guys,
to
for doing
change
that.
mine.
Then we're going to San Diego for the National School Board Conference We had our discussion about our presentation. Stacy, did you get everything's?
Yep.
Good, fantastic. All right. Board of Canvassers on Friday, April 8th. Julie, did you get a volunteer? Okay.
I'm there too.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for that. 11th of April, got Business Affairs and our board meeting. Tuesday, April 12th, this is
Cyber safety?
Cybersecurity, okay, by our own SRO, so that's gonna be in the auditorium. The 19th, right here in the Learning Commons, is going to be the new board member gathering, so I was planning on attending. I guess everybody's welcome as long as they let Julie know, so.
Excellent.
And then 25th, Policy and Board of Education. Moving out to the 9th, we've got, again, Business Affairs and regular meeting. And then we get into our strategic planning season, which starts May 16th. So, and then we're gonna have to say goodbye to Khadijah on the 23rd. She will be departing her position as a student board representative, so. Does anybody have anything else that's going on that WASB training or meeting or anything like that I don't know of? Okay, fantastic. Next item on the agenda is a legislative advocacy discussion. I don't know if you guys all get the emails about the blog from WASB, and there's a whole bunch of things that are heading to the governor's desk, and I think there's only one of them that the WASB supported, and that was issuing substitute teacher permits. So it's questionable about how many of those things are actually going to get signed by the governor. So I won't read you everything here. You can see it. It's pretty easy. You find it online in the WASB blog. So. Does anybody have anything else that they want to share on the legislative front? What are you hearing?
Just the session's coming to an end, and we'll continue our advocacy efforts over the summer and into the fall so that we can keep up to speed with our legislators and keep them aware of what's happening and where we're at as a district.
All right, fantastic. All right, last item was something I brought up last time. There was this evaluation tool. They had parts 1 and part 2. Part 2 is if you wanted to do a survey every single time. I would lobby against that. I'm thinking twice a year might be a good thing to just evaluate how we're doing. And my idea would be to have like Candace create a survey monkey or something of that nature. And we take the survey the second meeting in November and then review it the first meeting in December. And then do it again second meeting in May and then review it the first meeting in June. And this would probably have some policy implications as well to put it in there.
Just one question. I know some of the meetings in that window of time tend to be really long meetings. Does that fit within that?
They look like they'd be pretty good.
Okay,
but,
yeah, no, I'm
yeah.
fine. I just wanted to raise that up because I know some of those October, November meetings tend to be really long meetings. I don't want to add more content to one of those really long sessions. As long as we work around that, I
I'll try
think
to
that
make sure
timing's
that we don't
excellent.
have this at the same time we have the building reports.
Yes, that's the one.
That's-
That's the one.
Or the department reports.
That's right.
You know
As long
what
as we don't put those in the same night. We don't need that one to be any longer.
No.
Yeah.
So,
Thank
agreed.
you. Agreed. Thank you. Thank you.
So, does that sound like a plan there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's great.
Jeannie, you want to put that on your list to try to incorporate? And then I'll ask Mike to maybe talk to Candace or her department to.
I will.
We probably have some kind of subscription to a survey tool. We can do so many surveys.
Yeah, within Qualtrics, you'd be able to build something like that.
Okay, Qualtrics will do it. Okay.
So, Brian, would Candace kind of modify this then? Because it's kind of repetitive.
There is some things that are repetitive in there. I was hoping that I could just dump that on the policy committee to work out.
Since we have so much time.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the first one.
Thanks.
Jeannie, you were looking for something to do, I heard.
Well, sure. When do I have to have that first one done by?
That was gonna be a side conversation, but I'll bat it right over here.
May would be the first one we would do? Is that what you would suggest?
Yeah, me, so.
That's awfully close.
Well, you know, you tell me, you know, if we want to do it in November, that's fine. But I think it's a good practice.
Yeah.
It also fits in with the whole Baldridge efforts and stuff like that, getting feedback, so I'm getting better, so.
First
Do you want to
survey may be a pilot survey.
That's fine, it's just like we do with curriculum, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so, anybody, any more thoughts about that?
I think it's great.
All right, fantastic. All right, then the next item is comments from citizen. Julie, any sheets? All right. Then I need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
7-0. All right, thank
I
you,
vote
guys.
John Gahan always be the guy, because we're getting out of here at 8:15.
Yeah, by the way, he rubs that in, so.